friends at Lake Expo, they announced and did the story on there's actually a petition effort here around the, really in the state of Missouri, a petition to have a casino at the lake. What can you tell us?
Well, keep in mind, there's two different casino projects. The one is from the Osage Indian Nation,
Correct.
Right? And they're like a like their own nation, right?
Yeah.
So they've got to go through different hoops to come in with a casino. Then there's another group that is trying to change the Missouri Constitution to add another casino on the water, right? So there's news on that front. If you're out and around over the next few months, you might be approached by somebody asking if you support a state-regulated casino at the Lake of the Ozarks. So Osage River Gaming and Convention, that's ORGC, the investor group behind the petition, they're hoping to get enough signatures to get this question on the November ballot, again, because they have to change the Constitution in order to do this. And they have until mid-April, and the ballot question would ask Missourians whether they would like to change the state constitution to allow a casino on the river and to add an additional 14th gaming license, because now they're stuck at 13, right? So they would add another one to embark, and the way they're going to try to sell this is to get more tax revenues from the casinos that will pay teachers. That's always what that and the lotto use that as the big selling point, right?
Yeah.
So they are actually going to be canvassing in all the major cities, because this is a statewide thing. It's not just a Lake of the Ozarks thing. They're getting people voting from all over the state. So they've got people in St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, Springfield, and they're gathering signatures in 6 of Missouri's 8 congressional districts. So they're really making a big push to get this done, to be able to bring a casino to the Lake of the Ozarks area. And this is not the Indian casino, this is the other casino. So here it comes. Here comes the big push.
And so in all, right now, the state of Missouri allows 13 casinos, and they have to be either on a body of water within a certain distance in proximity to the water. And so there's 2, the Osage Nation, they would be their own sovereign nation, and they would get absolute sovereignty, and they would operate under a different set of bylaws, and they would also not fall under the Missouri Gaming Constitution or the Missouri Gaming Commission. And so then there's the other one that says, hey, we're petitioning to change it from 13, which is the maximum, as you alluded to now, to a 14th. So let's say this would happen, the Osage Nation could still happen. Not only could we have 2 casinos close to the lake, we could have 15 total in the state of Missouri. You mentioned the petition, the effort now, and that they're hoping to get signatures. It's going to need 173,000 signatures in order to, it says, clear the CIP process. They're actually aiming to gather over 200,000 just to play it safe. And so if you're out and about, now it's not just like you said, the lake area may not be for this, and we've seen that a lot of opposition, but listen, the lake represents such a small percentage of the state of Missouri. I imagine that these petitioners, they're gonna be in, like you said, St. Louis, Kansas City, the higher concentrated area, Springfield, because if they're the ones that get those signatures, that really goes on the ballot. And so our question here for you, Lake of the Ozarks, we wanna know, do you support a 14th casino here at Lake of the Ozarks? Either casino. We want to know, do you, the Lake of the Ozarks, are you for having a casino down here at Lake of the Ozarks? And would you sign the petition in favor should you be approached and presented with that opportunity? We're curious because there's pros and there's cons, and we've looked at both sides, but we're always interested to know. In Lake Expo's voters poll, and I don't know, Chris, if their voters poll was just their readers or was a representation of the statewide poll up to this point, but 60% were yes and 70% were no, which was a little surprising for me if it was at the lake. So I want to gauge, just at the Lake of the Ozarks, do you guys support a casino, and would you sign a petition in favor of one?
So 60% were yes and 40% were no? So it seems like people around here would like to have a casino.
I was unaware or unsure if that was just like Lake Expo readers or if they were sharing like a poll that was already published statewide by somebody else.
Yeah.
I was uncertain of that because I was led to believe, I would think, if you asked the locals on a whole, that they would be against it, probably closer to 65, 70 no, 30% yes. And that's why I want to know. So our question to you is, do you support a casino at the Lake of the Ozarks? And would you sign a petition allowing a 14th petition, or at least to go on the ballot in November?
And it's interesting, too, that since this is a statewide thing, people here at the Lake of the Ozarks might not want it, but it doesn't matter because if the rest of the state votes it in, then it's coming in, right? Yeah, that's an interesting situation.
St. Louis is big enough. You could get 200,000 people in St. Louis alone to sign the petition, and then that would pass the CIP process. But it would still then have to go on the ballot in November. It would have to pass the yes vote, and if it passed the yes vote, I believe there'd be other legalities and process. But if you saw the timeline, I love that Lake Expo. These illustrations they're putting together.
Yeah.
Can we give them a shout out?
Absolutely.
Lake
We
Expo.
love the Lake Expo.
I'm telling you what, they've got Tegan, used to be Shockley. I don't know her new name. She's an amazing writer. She's learning from Nathan over there. But they're starting to put these timelines together. We saw it in a previous story. And this is just great. Shows you 1984 is when horse race betting and lottery were legalized in the state of Missouri, and all the way down through 2023, where the third legislative attempt failed, and that was last year, as we covered. And so this timeline shows you how the state of Missouri feels from zero to jackpot. But just phenomenal work by Lake Expo on that timeline, and we put that on screen so you can see from 84 over the last 40 years. Will we have a casino down here at the lake? It'll be interesting to see.
I think it's coming. One way or the other, it's coming. Don't know how long it's going to take, but it's coming.